If you're struggling with creative block, you're not alone. In this video, I'll discuss some of the common causes of creative block and how you can overcome it. You might be surprised to learn that creative block is often caused by self-doubt or perfectionism. If you're constantly second-guessing your ideas, it's no wonder you're having trouble getting started. Fortunately, there are some simple steps you can take to start overcoming your creative block. In this video, I'll share some of my favorite tips for getting past that initial hurdle and into a flow state. So if you're ready to start getting your creative juices flowing again, hit play and let's get started. As artists and creators, we all face creative block at some point in our careers. The feeling of being stuck, the lack of inspiration, and the inability to produce quality work can be overwhelming. Symptoms of creative block can vary from procrastination and self-doubt to frustration and writer's artist's block. However, with the right mindset and approach, there are ways to overcome this obstacle and unleash your creative potential. Creative block problem. I started noticing my creative block problem when I began having difficulty developing new ideas for blog posts. This problem persisted because I didn't know how to solve it. I resisted changing my blogging habits because I wasn't sure what would work. After researching, I realized that many people suffer from creative block. I found that it often occurs when people feel like they have to be perfect. Perfectionism can prevent us from starting or finishing a project because we're afraid it won't be good enough. I also learned that creative block often happens when we lose our sense of play. When we're under pressure, it's easy to forget how to have fun with our work. Fortunately, a few experts agree with me that creative block is a real problem. Dr. Eric Mazel, the author of Overcoming Creative Block, says that the first step to overcoming this problem is to accept that it's normal to feel blocked sometimes. Once we accept that creative block is a part of the creative process, we can begin to take steps to overcome it. One helpful tip is to set aside some time each day for uninterrupted creative work. This can help us get into a flow state and produce our best work. 1. The impact of creative block. When it comes to creative block, there are a few things you should know. For starters, it can be incredibly dangerous. If you allow the creative block to take over, it can cost you dearly in terms of your career and your personal life. Second, creative block often manifests itself in very specific ways. You may find yourself procrastinating more than usual, or you may feel like you're stuck in a rut and can't come up with any fresh ideas. And finally, there are often things you may not realize are contributing to your creative block. It could be something as simple as not getting enough sleep or not taking time to relax and recharge. So if you're struggling with creative block, make sure to keep these 3 things in mind. And if you want to learn more about overcoming creative block, make sure to watch more this video. 2. The solution to creative block productivity can take a major hit when you're experiencing a creative block. It can be tough to get things done when you feel like you're stuck in a rut, but there is hope. Once you overcome your creative block, you'll be able to get back to being productive. And there are some simple things you can do to help you get over the hump. First, it's important to understand what creative block is. It's not just a matter of not being able to think of anything to write or draw. Creative block is a real condition that can cause you to feel stuck, uninspired, and hesitant to create. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms, it's important to take action so you can get back to being productive. There are a few potential pitfalls to be aware of when you're trying to overcome creative block. First, you might mistakenly think that you need to come up with something completely new and original, but that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes all you need is to take a new angle on something you've already done. Second, you might try to force yourself to be creative, but this can actually backfire and make the problem worse. Instead of trying to force it, just let the creativity flow naturally. And finally, you might get discouraged if you don't see results immediately. Remember that it takes time to overcome creative block, and just keep working at it and eventually you'll get back to being productive. If you're struggling with creative block, there are a few things you can do to help you get over the hump. First, try to take a new angle on something you've already done. Second, let creativity flow naturally. And finally, be patient and don't get discouraged if you don't see results immediately. 3. Try to take a new angle on something you've already done. One way I have found to overcome a creative block is to take a new perspective on something I have already done. For example, if I have written a piece that I am not happy with, I will try to edit it with a new perspective. This could involve changing the point of view, the voice, or the tense. By doing this, I'm able to see the piece in a new light and often find new ways to improve it. One of the best ways to overcome creative block is to try to take a new angle on something you've already done. This can mean approaching a project from a different perspective or looking at it from a different angle. For example, if you're a writer who usually writes fiction, try writing a nonfiction piece. Or if you're a painter who typically paints landscapes, try painting a portrait. It can be helpful to think about why you felt blocked in the first place. Was it because you felt like you didn't have any good ideas? Or was it because you were feeling overwhelmed by the task at hand? Once you identify the source of your block, it will be easier to find a way to overcome it. If you're struggling to come up with new ideas, it can be helpful to brainstorm with someone else. This can give you a fresh perspective on the project and help you come up with ideas you may not have thought of on your own. In the end, the best way to overcome creative block is to just start working. The more you do, the easier it will be to come up with new ideas and keep the creative juices flowing. 4. Let the creativity flow naturally. This means not forcing yourself to come up with ideas, but instead letting them come to you organically. Allow yourself to daydream and let your mind wander. Don't worry about coming up with something specific, just let the ideas come to you. Keep a notebook or journal handy so you can jot down any ideas that come to you. Then when you're ready, you can start to narrow down your ideas and start working on a specific project. It can also be helpful to take a break from whatever it is you're working on. Sometimes the best way to overcome creative block is to step away from your project for a while. Go for a walk, watch a movie, or read a book. Once you've taken some time to relax, you may find that you're better able to come up with creative ideas. Don't be afraid to try new things. If you're stuck in a creative rut, it can be helpful to try something new. Maybe there's a new hobby you've been wanting to try, or a new type of project you're interested in. By trying something new, you can open yourself up to new possibilities and new ideas. Lastly, don't be afraid to ask for help. If you're really struggling to overcome creative block, it's okay to ask for help from family, friends, or even a professional. Sometimes it can be helpful to have someone else's perspective to help you come up with new ideas. By following these tips, you can start to overcome creative block and let your creativity flow more freely. 5. Be patient and don't get discouraged if you don't see results immediately. When you encounter creative block, it can be tempting to give up and declare that you'll never be creative again. But the truth is that creative block is only temporary. Just like any other skill, creativity takes practice. And the more you practice, the easier it will be to overcome creative block when it happens. Be patient and don't get discouraged if you don't see results immediately. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is a great work of art. Give yourself time to experiment and play around. Allow yourself to make mistakes. It's through making mistakes that we learn and grow. If you find yourself getting frustrated, take a break. Go for a walk, watch a movie, or read a book. Anything that will get your mind off of your project for a little while. When you come back to it, you may find that the answer was right in front of you the whole time. Creativity is a journey, not a destination. Embrace the ups and downs and enjoy the ride. Conclusion. Most people strive to be creative in some way or another. Unfortunately, sometimes this process can be blocked by a creative block. While the causes of a creative block can vary from person to person, there are some ways to overcome it. So, how will the reader's life change after learning about how to overcome a creative block? For starters, the reader will likely find it easier to be creative. They may also find that their creative output is of a higher quality. Additionally, the reader may become more confident in their ability to be creative. This newfound confidence could lead to even more creativity in other areas of their life. In short, the reader's life will likely change for the better after learning about how to overcome a creative block. This knowledge can help them in both their personal and professional lives. So if you're struggling with a creative block, don't give up. There is hope. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and learned something from this video. Please let me know what you think of my videos, and if you have any ideas for future videos, please let me know. Thank you so much. I hope to see you in my next videos. Bye-bye. Have fun with your creative life. I'm excited for you. Share it with your friends. See you soon.